Thank you, Grant. Wow, I every time I hear from him, I just am inspired. And Grant mentioned that the average was 5 point something years for principals or administrators at independent schools. Um, I think Grant's been 15 now. Is that where we're at here now? It's 15 years. About 15 years at American Heritage, and he has been a tremendous, tremendous blessing to this school. All those who know him know what I'm talking about. His vision and leadership is unparalleled. And if you don't know that already, you're gonna soon learn that. I was excited to see so many new hands up here, and I saw all these new parent hands, and I thought, wow, boy, I'm not sure you know what you're in for here. It's going to be quite an experience. As you already can see, probably just from the beginning here this morning, American Heritage is a very different school from certainly from the public system and from many other private schools, I believe as well. You know, it's an honor and a privilege for me to represent the board here this morning, and I'm also going to say represent to some degree some of our committees. We have committees. Those of you who are new, you might very well end up on one of these committees. They have a huge influence and are hugely impactful to what happens here at American Heritage. We have a board that I'm very proud to be a part of. It is a fantastic board with just the talent on there. I'm constantly amazed at the experience and of the individuals there, and very dedicated and very passionate as well. And it's interesting to me how past board chairmen just kind of stay on the board, and they just keep serving and so forth. Just as a huge level of commitment. You know, as I was racing down here this morning at probably way too high of speeds, I live up past Camas a ways, and still getting used to that commute. And anyway, thought I'd share with you a little bit of a miracle that happened last night. How many of you have a family dog? Family dog, quite a few of you in here. Well, we have one up there, and so does my son-in-law and daughter and their two kids. They live about a half a mile past where we're at. And while I was trying to prepare a few thoughts for this rather late, about 11 p.m. last night, I got a phone call from my son-in-law and giving me some tragic news that their dog had been hit by a car, and he'd been out looking for him and found him on the highway out there, and that he was dead. And and I was, of course, immediately heartbroken, but I could hear the quivering in his voice. He needed help. He needed help, to get him. He's a good sized dog, and so I ran and jumped in one of our side by sides and took off out there and found him finally up there on the road. And when I got up there, my kids, by the way, were still awake, and they were immediately in tears and as well, because they consider him their dog as well. And they immediately resorted to praying, and never underestimate a child's faith. When I came up to the road, the dog was not dead, and it was alive, although he did not look well. He was pretty severely injured, and I thought my son-in-law at that point was getting a .22 out of his vehicle, and just said the dog was in pain, and we need to put out his misery, and there's no way we could save this dog. And I looked at him for a minute, and I thought, you know what? I think we should try to save this dog. And so we did, and got him loaded in the vehicle, and got some poor vet to come out in the middle of the night, and and met him down there in Heber, and patched his dog up. And I got a call as I was just coming down the canyon that he's back home now. He's going to be all right. If you'd have seen him, let me tell you, he was a pretty horrible sight to behold, and just amazing, miraculous thing. He's up and about, and it just reminded me of the faith of kids and the faith of children, and how much power that there can be in that lots of times. I wanted to share with you this morning as I thought about what I might just mention here. You're going to hear a lot today. You're going to hear a lot about the mission of the school and the mission statements and the principles upon which it was founded. You're going to have the opportunity to hear a lot more about the history of the school, which is amazing. But I wanted to share with you just a few thoughts I had. And as I was thinking about this last night, the thought that kept coming to me was remember, remember. Now, if you do a little search on that in the scriptures, it's surprising how many times not only the phrase remember, remember shows up, but also just the word remember. And as I thought about American heritage, that was the primary thing that just really impressed me about the school. There's a lot of things that are amazing about American heritage, but one of the things that we do is we teach the kids to remember. And we teach them to remember, for example, the founding of this country and those who sacrificed so much and the miracle that it was. When kids come out of American heritage, they do so with a great understanding and a great appreciation for the forefathers of our country, and understanding that this wasn't an accident, the formation of America. Now, Grant was sharing some pretty alarming statistics and information, and that is representative of the way our world is and many of the things that are changing in it today. And as I look back on the history of American heritage, and how it began, such humble beginnings, and then sacrifice for so many, some 32 years it took before, from the move-in, I think, to the original building, an old church building down on First East in Pleasant Grove, to the move-in here when this school was first built. 32 years, a lot of sacrifice. And then simply about 5 years later, another $4 million expansion happened, allowing us to have more classrooms and bring more of the arts and other programs into the school. And then finally, in 2011, I'm not sure what inspired this, but someone put together the intended master plan or the dream of the school. And now, in just a short few years later, in 2017, construction begins. In fact, today I think they're scratching the ground out there and doing some things. And construction begins on a major addition to the school that's going to begin with athletic facilities, to an very nice indoor athletic facility structure, and then addition of more buildings that eventually will become more of what will be the high school, and also a beautiful building that will support the arts in a fantastic way. So you're going to probably hear more about that today as well, but it really is very, very miraculous. When I think of our coming to American Heritage, I'm a newbie here. I'm only about 4 years old, I think, at American Heritage. And the temple's right across the street there, and I must have passed this school going to that temple a few hundred times. And I always viewed the school with some oddity and thought that's an interesting, strange school. I think probably made up of some overly exuberant Latter-day Saints. And that was kind of my view of it. And anyway, I was driving past it one morning, coming out of the temple, and one of my daughters that's currently on a mission, just graduated last year, Holly, she was having some struggles in the school she was in, and mostly just drama sorts of things that girls have at that age. And an impression just struck me, she needs to go to this school. And I thought, whoa, that's really strange. And so I just mentioned it to her, knowing that would be a war. I just put it in her mind, has you ever thought about going to American Heritage? And she just looked at me kind of strange. Well, a couple of weeks later, she set up a visit and a tour here. And I walked into this building. I've never walked in this building before, and we walked the halls. Now, I hope you've had the opportunity to do that, especially those of you who are new. And I was just reading what was on the walls. And I was just struck by that. And I was more struck, I was struck by the cleanliness of the school. I felt like I'd walked onto a college campus in some ways. But I was more struck by the spirit that was here, that was so strong. And I was immediately, my curiosity was piqued, and I thought, why? What is going on here? Why am I feeling this way? And so as I walked through the school and we began to learn, that began our process here, and that was our introduction to the school. And it has been certainly an amazing experience, really, ever since then. I think everybody kind of probably has a story to one degree or another of how you've arrived at American Heritage. Everything that the school does here is intended to inspire the kids and point them towards the Lord. You know, American Heritage does much of what it does based upon this remembering many, many things. And children have to have a sense of legacy. If they don't have a sense of legacy or a foundation, it's really hard to go out into the world today and to survive in this world. And with so many voices and influences that are coming from all directions to them, you know, it's a place where they can, I guess, kind of recalibrate against what they face everywhere else. It's a place they can come and just get themselves tuned up to know that there is something different. You know, hopefully our homes are places like this, but that's not always the case. But hopefully our homes are places where they can recalibrate, where we're keeping as best we can the influences of the world out of those places. When a child doesn't have a place or a way in which to recalibrate, you know, we can't really expect them to not be profoundly influenced by the world that they live in today. Now, you know, we teach things here like remembering cleanliness and kindness and happiness and healing. And, you know, a few months ago, we had Immaculée Ilibagiza here, and she's from Rwanda, and wrote the book Left to Tell years ago, surviving the genocide with 7 other women in a 3-foot by 4-foot bathroom for 91 days. And Grant was kind enough to take her on a tour of the facility here, and of her whole experience here and her visit here to this area and all the things that she did, and was interviewed by numerous news agencies and all of this. She still talks today about her experience at the school, and that was simply walking the halls, and she was reading what was on the walls. And she kept saying to me, "This is what we believe. This is what we believe." She's a very devout Catholic. I would tell her, "Immaculée, that's not what your church teaches." And but it's what she believes. It's what she believes. She has her own version of certainly of that, of what she believes her church believes. And that came a lot from 91 days in a bathroom, not able to say a word, not a single word, and having a Bible and doing some very, very deep soul searching during that time and coming to a great knowledge of truth. I want to mention this in 3 Nephi chapter 18, verse 7. The Lord is teaching the people when he appears to the Nephites there, and he says, "And this shall ye do in remembrance of my body, which I have shown unto you. And it shall be a testimony unto the Father that you do always remember me." And he's talking about the sacrament, of course. And he says, "And if you do always remember me, you will have the Spirit to be with you." I love, again, that reference to remembering and the results that come from remembering. We have teachers at this school that you're going to find, those of you who are new teachers and those of you who are new parents, they know how to teach our kids to remember. And they understand very much the purpose of the Spirit and the impact that the Spirit has in the kid's life. Most importantly, and what I've just loved seeing in my kids' lives, is that they understand the life-altering impact that happens when a child comes to realize that God has a purpose and a work for them. And that changes everything. Even in kids that might not have perhaps a very, a strong view of themselves. That changes when all of a sudden they have an experience where they realize that the Lord really does know who they are and is going to play a part in they have a part to play in this world. So, Lord's hastening his work. We keep hearing that. Brethren came out some time ago and hit that pretty hard. The Lord is hastening his work, and I suppose we're hastening that work here as well. The student body is now approaching 900 kids. And the Latter-day Learning that some of you may be aware of has now surpassed 4,000 students in over 50 countries. And that's just unbelievable. Growth is good, right? Growth is good as long as we don't lose sight of the real product here at American Heritage, and that's the kids. And that's what's being turned out as future leaders and those who will go on to influence the world, hopefully in profound ways. Kids that leave here do so expecting to make a difference in the world. And they do so also with a foundation and knowing how to do that. You can rest assured that the board here at the school, even as the school continues to grow in size and accolades, many accolades now, many accomplishments, the board and administration are clear and committed to remember the foundational principles upon which the school was built. We'll not forget our purpose, which is to prepare children with a sense of purpose, commitment to serving God, and an expectation to impact the world for good. There's an amazing thing that's happening here, maybe an amazing experiment, but the experiment has been going on for a long time now, and the fruits that are coming from this now are profound. And as Grant said earlier, they're none too soon. I'm grateful to be a part of American Heritage and to be associated with such a fantastic community. Those of you who are new here will discover that as well. American Heritage attracts a community of mission-driven sorts of parents and families, and getting to be part of that community will be one of the highlights of your experience here. So thank you for making the effort to be here so early on a Monday morning, and I know we look forward to a wonderful day of instruction that we're going to receive. So thank you very much.